guys, welcome back to my channel. So my name is Violet, and in this video I'm going to share my honest comparison about how I felt between the life in UK and Australia. So a bit about myself. So I study and work in UK for about 3 years as marketing executive, and then I just moved to Australia, Sydney, about 2 months ago. Starting my business, coaching business, about like 1.5 years ago. So it's all about how I felt between the life in those two countries, especially in terms of accommodations, life networking, job markets, and visa regulations. It's not about the ranking between which either of these countries is better. So yeah, I'm going to keep the scores to give you guys a bit overview and insights about the life here, and let's dive in. So the first aspect is, of course, one of the most important for everyone when deciding to move to different countries' accommodations. So in UK, I live in Leeds, which is a very student city, and also it's quite affordable. And I paid around £400 for a rent. I paid £100 for a room and share house in Headingley area, which is around like 20 minutes bus from the city to the city centre. So it's quite very convenient. And also a few months later, I moved to a place quite closer to the city, and it cost me around £470 and suite with including bills and everything, and it's only 5 minutes walk to the city center. So the price of the accommodation it also depends on your preference. If you would like to stay close to the city, so you can go around and walk, so it can cost you a bit more than further area on the service area, like a bit like Headingley. So in Sydney, so Sydney is like the London UK, so it comes with a very expensive price, especially in terms of accommodations. So currently I'm living also in a share house. I'm renting a room here, and it costs me around £800 per month, including bills. But the only upside of it is I'm living in a very nice neighborhood. So I'm living in Surrey Hills. Surrey is like a lot of friends, Australian friends, also friends here telling me that Surrey Hills is the best neighborhood to live in Sydney. So yeah, you can definitely try it out and tell me how you feel about it. But Surrey Hills I got everything on the supermarket, store, coffee shops, and the libraries. It's like 1 or 2 minutes walk from my house. This is all very good, and also got a big balcony, which is also a plus side of my accommodations. So as you can see, I'm filming on my balcony right now, and the sky is it's rainy today. So yeah, the sky is a bit gloomy, kind of reminding me of UK. So in this aspect, accommodations, neither of this country actually win my preference, because seeing the accommodations price is still a bit quite high. But all in all, it kind of depends on your preference. So the score is still 0-0 for both countries. The next aspect I want to talk about the food, culture and cuisines between UK and Australia. So been here about 2 months and live in UK for about 3 years now. So I found the food cultures and cuisine here are quite similar. So for example, in the UK, so the English people have like fish and chips or English breakfast as traditional, authentic type of food that every tourist had to try when they visit the country, which I also love both of them. And when I work part-time, during my study, I often go to Wetherspoon, and having breakfast, English breakfast, and pancakes mostly every day. So yeah, I really love English food too. And in Australia, I'm not really sure about the traditional food here. Connor told me, so a lot of the Australian friends told me it's quite popular for outdoor barbecue, in the sun, under the sun, and you doing the outdoor barbecue with friends, things like that. Also meat pies. So there's the two type of food that I think maybe is quite authentic Australian food. Apart from that, so there you have a lot of variety of food options here in both UK and Australia. So you can choose from Thai food, Chinese, Korean, Malaysian, Indonesian. There's a lot of different food options, and it tastes actually quite good. And the price not that expensive if you know how to find a bit of more cheap eats. Very reasonable price, also reasonable size portion too. So I actually have a separate video for all the cheap eats places with very cheap prices and reasonable and very tasty too places around Sydney. So yeah, just have a look at that video when you have time. And again, so in terms of price, it costs you around 20 Australian dollars per person. If you want to eat out, especially if you want to have a drink with it, it can be higher, $25 per person. It's equivalent to around 10 to 15 quids. In the UK, you want to eat out. So for me, like, it's not that expensive. You want to have a nice meal, dinner out, friends or brunch, things like that. So yeah, so in this aspect, both countries actually win my preference. So the score is 1-1 for UK, Australia. Same with food. Also one thing, if you are Vietnamese, and I think you actually would prefer Australia more than the UK, because seeing like the geography locations from Australia to Vietnam is much closer than from Vietnam to UK, and there's a big communities, Vietnamese communities in Sydney, especially they even have specific areas for Vietnamese people to live, open businesses and restaurants. So I think one of the most popular areas is called Cabramatta or Marrickville. Yes, excuse me for my pronunciation, so I didn't get it right. And they got a huge Vietnamese community. Because that when you arrive in these areas, you just feel like you're actually in Vietnam or in like Asian countries. Doesn't it really feel like Australia for me? And yeah, so yeah, if you are Vietnamese and you love Vietnamese food, yes, Australia may be the better choice for you. So next up is weather. So weather actually plays a big part in my decision, like deciding to move to Australia or staying in the UK. So like in the UK, for me, it feels a bit, the weather is not that good because of the cold, like gloomy and dark skies. And the winter for me is like, it seems like it's never ending. For me, it's like the winter lasts around even 7 to 8 months of the year. And then if you're lucky, you got about 1 or 2 months of sunshine in summer. So it's not really my ideal weather on the environment that I'm, imagine myself to live. So that's why I decided to move to Sydney, Australia, just to have a feel about it, see how it feels for me. And yeah, luckily Sydney's welcomed me with a lot of sunshine. The weather really nice, got the right temperature, it's not too cold. So actually currently it's coming to winter now, so it's become a bit like autumn weather. It's a wind, and it's actually it's rainy today, if you can see, but like a few days ago the weather is so nice, 25 degrees. And yesterday we went to Bondi Beach, to have to enjoy a day at the beach, because of the weather seems so nice not to go out. And also the weather actually, I think, have a impact on people's mood. So in the UK, I feel quite a bit like depressed and blue, and actually the seasonal depression actually a thing currently, because the weather like doesn't really like give you motivation to go out or do like outdoor activities, because it's too cold and you have to stay at home. So yeah, so my choice of activities is quite limited in the UK during the winter. In Sydney right now, I think the weather makes it so much better for everyone to enjoy outdoor activities. You can go hiking, sunbathing, playing sports on the beach, and going out for brunch with friends, coffee shop, things like that. So I do think they got a big coffee cultures here in Australia than the UK. And yeah, I do believe like the weather plays a big, like, significant part in how you feel about life and environment in general. Because like when the sun is out, people are more energetic, like they're more quite motivated to go out. So yeah, so in this aspect, for me, definitely Australia wins over my heart because of the weather. The weather has been really nice. Yeah, recently, so good. Next up, let me check. Do you remember what we're talking about? Just a second. Okay, yes, the next important aspect is people networking. So in terms of like networking, in the UK, like I said, the weather actually plays, a part. Sorry. So let's talk about the networking opportunities. So in the UK, the weather is partly a reason why people are not going out, doing socializing activities anymore, because like the weather is so cold. And in So let's talk about social networking. So in Sydney, I find it much more easier, to socialize and networking with people here. And like I think, perhaps maybe it's because of the weather. The weather is nice. People would like to go out more, socialize more. Maybe because of this, social culture here. But I find it really easy to talk to people and make, even small talk or like conversation about every topic, especially in business, because since I'm really keen to, business talks and conversation, and because I just started my business coaching service business about one year and a half ago. So I'm really interested on these conversation, on these like networks and contacts I could find. And yeah, Sydney has done me good really. So when I first arrived in Sydney, even like just 2 weeks. So I remember, so I arrived in Sydney about 2 weeks. Then I attended a lot of like events to make friends, to know about the culture and people here. For example, like board game clubs or board game nights. I'm a big fan. I play board games a lot. And then go to like dance classes on these, art lovers, all type of the events here in Sydney. And I actually almost landed 2 job opportunities in marketing here in Sydney, just purely from talking to people. So the first offer that I got from a connection of mine in Sydney. So he did offer me if I had the right visa, I could apply for a marketing positions in his company. And also another job opportunity actually come from a owner of the bar that. Yeah, so another opportunity actually came from an owner of the bar that I attended the board game event in, and he basically after several talks, and he actually asked me if I was interested in helping him with his marketing activity for the bar. So yes, all good. So I feel really lucky with all the opportunities, networking opportunities here in the UK. In Australia. So in the UK, I did the same kind of activities because so just a bit of like backstory. So I graduated for my master's degree in marketing in the UK, and then when I started applying for jobs, I need to make connection, to network, because I do believe internal refer is actually much better than applying online. And then I did do the same activities, attending like marketing events, marketing talks, business talks, just to meet new people. And for me, I feel like the opportunity for networking in Leeds, the place where I lived in the UK, is also quite a bit limited, because like I said, Leeds is quite a student city and also quite small city, and again, weather played quite a big part in in the making people feel like more sociable, or more open-minded for open for talk, willing to talk to you. So yeah, I do feel my opportunities in Leeds and in the UK is quite limited in terms of on those factors I just mentioned. Yeah, so in this aspect of actually I think so let's talk about a very important aspect is people and networking. So in Sydney, I found it much more, much easier to network, to make small talk and, socialize with people than in the UK. I think perhaps it's because of the weather. It's so nice, so people tend to go out more often, because the social culture here. So people are really willing to talk to you, open for all type of conversations. And since I started my own business about 1.5 years ago, coaching business, I'm really interested in any kind of talks regarding to business talks, strategies and things like that. So that's why I attended quite a lot of events in Sydney since I first arrived here. For example, board game events. I'm a big fan of board game. I played it a lot. And then like AI data event. Also other kind of like hobbies event like sports club, like hiking, things like that. Just in order to meet new people and make conversation, to make that relationship. And all of these people I met until now are really really nice, very open-minded and quite easy to talk to. And I even scored 2 job opportunities in marketing just purely from talking to people. So the first job opportunity I get is from a connection of mine in Sydney. They actually invited me he let me know, he gave me information about a marketing opportunity in his company. And so the second one, I got that job opportunity actually from the bar's owner of the event, the board game event that I attended. And he, after several talks, he asked me if I would be interested in helping him with the marketing activities for the bar. So I feel really lucky to meet all those new people and all this opportunity. In contrast, like in the UK, I live in Leeds, which is quite a student city, and also it's also a small city too. And the weather, from my perspective, actually played a quite important part in how people do networking or socializing, because the weather is quite cold, so people tend to stay at home, and spontaneous socialization doesn't really happen that often. So in this aspect, I do prefer Australia, especially Sydney, for networking and business opportunities than the UK in that aspect. So the score is 3-1 for Australia. Yeah, for the openness and job opportunities. So the next factor I want to talk about is life in general. So funny enough, so actually Sydney or Australia actually make me more energetic than normal. A few days ago, I went on the first proper run of my life after so many years of not really exercising, eating unhealthy food. And I feel really more energetic and motivated to go out and to enjoy the outdoor activities, to see more people. That's the thing about how the weather actually have an impact on your life and your environment. So my day-to-day activity is I think for me it's quite peaceful, and it got into a bit of habits now. And I wake up. I'm actually not a morning person at all, so I wake up around 10 a.m. And then I went to do a bit of maybe a bit of exercise, so I feel like it. I still try to get into a daily proper exercise. And so I went to my local library. It's actually just 1 minute walk from my house, and to do some work in the afternoon. And then I just went out to the city to walk around city, walk to Darling Harbour. And also enjoy some kind of events in the evening, like board games and seeing friends, having dinner out, go to the pubs, doing quiz nights. I'm actually lost on my first ever trivial. They often call it trivial in Australia. And UK, it's more like pub quiz. We actually lost the whole house. We're in the last place on my first ever trivial quiz in Australia. So I have to say that's pretty difficult, so difficult quizzes, and I don't really have no idea, 99% of the time I have no idea what all the questions are about. So in Australia my life has been going up in a really positive way. I'm doing exercising, I'm meeting new people, I'm even doing filming right now, because I guess I'm quite an introvert person in that way when it comes to speaking in front of cameras, and I've been trying to delay this so much, because I'm not really comfortable in front of cameras and filming myself. So yeah, so currently I'm doing it. So which is will be a good side for me, that Australia actually made me do it in the UK. So again, I know that I speak of the weathers, maybe too much in this video, but for myself, it actually have a very huge impact on how my life had been. So in the UK, I got a job. So basically, I got a marketing executive role in the UK 1 month after my graduations. So the company that I work with were really nice, with nice people, nice colleagues, nothing to complain about, and the work is good. I don't need to do overtimes at all. And on those activities, we often make jokes with colleagues at work, so everything is perfect. I really love the company, and I appreciate all the time, all the relationship I have made with my colleagues there in the UK. However, but when I thought back about my time, when I started working, because I had to wake up around 7 a.m., in order to catch the train to work, and prepare the lunch, and then went back home around like 4, 5 p.m. kind of rush hour. So a lot of trains are delayed, cancelled, and to be honest, I don't really want to go back to that way of working, style working anymore. And that's why I decided to start my own business about a year ago. Because for me at that time, when you look at the gloomy dark sky, and you had to wake up very early, I'm not a morning person, and keep repeating that routine day after day, it's not really my ideal environment where I can actually thrive and do a lot of creative work like I'm doing right now, doing my own business and creating my own channel, expressing myself more. So in terms of life in general, Australia did win it for me, because I had a more overall positive life here in Australia than I was in the UK. Two aspects I would like to talk about. There's will be a lot of people interested in it. If you watch my channel about career coaching networking, so it's the job market and visa regulation between UK and Australia. So with regard to these aspects, visa and job market, I do feel that from my experience of coaching like 100 students, helping them gain job offers in various industries like data, hospitality, marketing, etc. I do think that UK has a more kind of easier visa regulation of a visa pathway for international candidates or international students to study and work in the UK to find jobs. Why I said that is because. So why I said that? Sorry, it's a bit very windy here. Actually, we have a bit of sunshine. So why I said that? Sorry, come back to the topic. So in the UK, the normal pathway would be you study your master degree for about a year or a half, or you study bachelor degree for about 3 years, and you may have a year placement. So the placement year is not like every university is gonna provide it. So it kind of actually depends on the type of courses or type of universities. And after you graduate, then you are automatically qualified for a 2-year graduate visa to stay and work in the UK legally, like full-time work. And afterwards, if you perform well and you got like sponsor, and you get sponsored from the company for about 5 years consecutively, and you can apply to be permanent resident in the UK. So I think the process is quite straightforward, and you even have even more options to help you to stay if you would like to stay longer, or fully relocate to UK. So In UK, in Australia, Sydney, I'm in right now. So I've just been here for about 2 months. So according to my kind of modest knowledge, I feel quite a bit overwhelmed with a lot of visa options for students and international student and young professional to stay, to study and work in Australia, because you got a different type of visa, like student visa, working holiday visa. Working holiday visa is very popular, but it's also very competitive. Because I remember I did apply for the working holiday visa 1.5 years ago when I was in the UK, and for each country they got a limited slot for the working holiday visa, so you can stay in Australia and work for about 3 years, travel and work. And so that's quite very beneficial. And I remember the visa for Vietnamese citizens is about like 1,000 slot, but there's 100,000 people applying, so it's not even impossible even to get in, to apply. So it's very competitive. Also, like the student visa here, it's the process I think quite straightforward. But recently, the Australian government has posed quite some strict regulation on visa immigrations. So it can be much more difficult than it was before, before the COVID time. So the visa regulation here is quite strict in Australia compared to UK. And in terms of job market, UK, Australia both has similar features, similar factors or aspects in the job market. For example, it's very competitive job market, especially for international students, when you have to deal with the difficulties in visa restrictions, and also like language barriers. It was quite a big factors when you apply for jobs in an English-speaking country when English is not your first language. So very competitive, language is a barrier. Also, if you are the job market, I say it's competitive, but you still have a lot of the number of jobs also still quite high in every industry, like marketing, finance, business, data, things like that. Actually, if you are into if you want to work in data industry, data analyst, things like that, you can actually have more job options in that area compared to Sydney. Because in Sydney, from my research, also my experience coaching students for a job in UK, Australia, and Sydney, in terms of data analyst jobs or any job related regarding to data, they prefer quite candidate to be quite experienced, like middle to senior level. So if you are fresh, graduate, and you don't really have much work experience before, so it can be a bit of a challenge for you to apply for jobs in Australia. In comparison, in the UK, they got quite a lot of internships, entry level junior jobs in terms in data field. So that's all my take about the job market here in Australia and UK. So like I said, I've been coaching so I've been directly coaching more than 100 students by now, and also provide guidance and advice on job applications and career guidance to about 300 people by now. And I can say the three areas that I see quite a lot of people struggling is interview, CV, and networking. And I would go into a bit more detail in this aspect in another different video. But so in conclusion, in terms of jobs market and job market and visa regulation, I actually think UK has a bit more leverage in this aspect. We got more straightforward, visa and career path, and with less restrictions on immigration and study, student visa, and things like that. I mentioned this earlier. The Sydney, and also the nightlife here in Australia and Sydney. Well, actually, So Sydney, I'm quite a bit more like, I'm quite into nightlife. So I just want to know if, when I first arrived in Sydney, is it would be, because Sydney is a big city, and I kind of expected it to be more, vibrant, more fun nightlife. But I got a bit disappointed, or like you say, underwhelmed, because of the nightlife scene here in Sydney. And so it's actually quite tamed. I don't know if that means, if that doesn't make sense for you, but it's quite tamed. Since people started, like the let's say drinking or going to the pub and bars quite early. It can be from 11 a.m. Or it can be from the afternoon. So they actually ended their night quite early, around like 12 or 1 a.m. in the morning. So I mean, if you look at it, actually it's maybe quite a good thing. You won't see a lot of people, drinking in the streets like drunk people, causing the scenes and things like that. Actually healthy, also quite safer in a way. I do believe that. The reason is that maybe like a lot of things happen after COVID, and the Australian government did quite a bit like restrictions, really strict regulations, and the rules on alcohol consumptions. So maybe that's the reason why the nightlife is not as fun and exciting as before. And in the UK, and Leeds is very famous for what they call oddly run. People dress up, like in cartoon characters or whatever they would like to, like Batman, some like silly characters, and they go out and they go bars by bars. So they go about 12 or 13 bars in a night. This is really quite fun, and they are very loud, crowd, full of young people, full of vibrant, and they often, we often ended the night, the nightlife, and around we stay up, until around 4 or 5 a.m. and that's really fun. And compared to a bit like tamed and quiet nightlife here in Sydney, it's a bit boring, from my opinion. So in this nightlife aspect, I do score, UK much higher than Sydney, Australia. Cool. So all in all, that's everything. That's all my my take and my opinions, and how I felt about those the two countries, UK, Australia, in those aspects. Like I mentioned before, accommodations, people networking opportunities, weather, job market, visa regulation, and nightlife here. So I hope that this video will give you a bit more insight, and you are going to decide, which country you would like to visit, or even thinking about relocations. So thanks so much for watching my video. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one.